sticking with the theme of getting to know who I actually am, here's another piece. They usually come out at night, and I don't think it's because spirits belong to darkness. I think it's because the darkness is quiet. The world finally settles, the noise stops, distractions disappear, and in that silence, something changes, something opens. Not a door, not exactly, more like a remembering, like a place between this world and another one. And at night, the space between them grows a tad thinner. And I can feel that. Usually, the room changes first. The air gets heavy. Sometimes it becomes strangely still. I feel a cold across my skin, goosebumps where there should be any wind. Other times, there's a warmth beside me, like a hug, almost like someone has taken a seat quietly beside me. Sometimes there's no cold, no warmth, no sound. I just know that I'm not alone. And I've known that feeling for a very long time. There are travelers who don't need feet to walk. There are voices that don't need mouths to speak. And there are spirits who no longer have bodies, but somehow they still feel like themselves. They carry something within them, a memory, a feeling, a sadness, sometimes love, even humor. And I've learned that not every conversation needs words. Some spirits speak through images, through feelings, some through sudden thoughts or memories, and sometimes they meet in your dreams right there on the edge between sleeping and waking, that place where you're not completely here, but you're not completely somewhere else either. And I've often wondered if dreams are just meeting places where consciousness doesn't need a body to recognize other consciousness. Maybe that's why nighttime has always felt different to me. When I look at the stars and feel the unseen world around me, they somehow feel connected, like they're both part of the same mystery. Things we can't reach with our hands, that doesn't really mean they aren't there. And underneath it all, I feel something greater, something ancient, something that existed long before anyone built a church or wrote a religious book. Source, the great beneath, the consciousness behind consciousness, the intelligence moving underneath everything. And sometimes I wonder, what if the veil isn't actually a wall? What if the veil is simply the limitation of the human body? Maybe there are things around us all the time that our normal senses aren't designed to perceive. And maybe death doesn't erase consciousness, it merely changes the way consciousness exists. So when the world goes quiet and midnight comes, I listen. Not blindly, not without discernment. I listen with the respect of someone standing at the edge of that invisible ocean, because I felt the waves from waters people tell me aren't there. And I felt presence that I couldn't touch. I've experienced conversations that didn't require sound. And there have been nights when the distance between this world and whatever exists beyond it felt no wider than a single breath. Maybe that's the part that fascinates me the most. We spend our lives believing that we're human bodies occasionally having spiritual experiences. What if we have that backward? What if we are spirits having the extraordinary temporary experience of being human? What if consciousness is actually the traveler and the body is simply the room we live in for a while? If that's true, then maybe spirits who visit me at night aren't traveling through some impossible distance. Maybe they're simply on the other side of something very thin, something we can't normally see. And maybe in their own way, they're reminding me, you're more than this body. You were more before it, and you will be more after it. Beyond language, beyond religion, beyond every name human beings have ever tried to give the divine, there is Source, breathing through stars, breathing through souls, moving through worlds we can't see, and perhaps some that we can. The eternal place from which every spark came, and the place every spark somehow remembers. So, no, I don't fear the night, because I've learned that darkness doesn't always mean emptiness. Sometimes darkness is simply the place where our ordinary eyes stop being useful, and another kind of seeing begins.